City Council meeting, and good evening. This session will be conducted remotely, and council members will only participate electronically. For those viewing online, please ensure that you join this meeting using the following website address: www.lewistonmaine.gov/2020cc. If you join this meeting using any other link, you may have trouble connecting properly, and we encourage you to log out and then rejoin the meeting using the correct website. Public comment on any item appearing on the agenda may be sent to publiccomment@lewistonmaine.gov prior to or during the meeting, and all comments received would be forwarded to the Lewiston City Council. Members of the public who are logged into the meeting online can make comments when invited to do so by raising your hand button in the lower center of your screen. Once they are acknowledged, their microphone will be unmuted and they'll be invited to make a brief comment. Speakers will also have to make sure that they unmute their mics as well. Councilors are asked to raise their hands to make comments. And City Clerk, if you don't mind, please call in the roll for attendance. Although you're not showing muted, Kathy, we can't hear you. Can you hear me, Kathy? Dale, can you try calling the clerk? All right, so I'll call the roll for attendance. Counselor from Ward 1.
Present.
Okay, and if we could just state your name when saying present for the public. I know it's different than Kathy, but I just want to make sure.
Sophia Khalid, Ward 1 City Councilor, present.
Thank you. Counselor from Ward 2.
Zach Pettengill, Counselor of Ward 2, here.
Thank you. Counselor from Ward 3.
Alicia Ray, present.
Thank you. Counselor from Ward 4.
Michael LaJoy, present, Ward 4.
Thank you. Counselor from Ward 5.
Luke Jensen, Ward 5, present.
Thank you. Counselor from Ward 6.
Lee Clement, Ward 6, present.
Thank you. And Counselor from Ward 7.
Stephanie Jelinas, Ward 7, present.
Thank you. And also present is myself, Mayor Mark Kerr, City Administrator Dennis Dote, and Deputy City Administrator Dale Doughty, and our City Clerk, who comes and goes occasionally, but she's always here with us, Kathy Montego. Thank
Yes,
you.
can you hear me now, Mr. Mayor?
I can. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of September 1st, 2020.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Second the motion.
Okay, moved by Councilor Jelinas, seconded by Councilor Ray. Please call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. And I skipped the update on the COVID-19 pandemic. So is there a update on that?
I guess the only thing we'd mentioned at last meeting is we're looking at new DCD and new governor's guidelines. So we'll be making some adjustments at City Hall for visitors and for staff to stay current with the guidelines as they're modified as the state learns more about how COVID is transmitted. We'll have more of an update probably the next meeting.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Very good. Public comment period. Any member of the public may make comments regarding issues pertaining to Lewiston City government. 3 minutes will be allowed per speaker with a maximum of 15 minutes.
I do too, so I'm wondering if it's something in the building.
Can we mute that? Dale? And Councilor Clement, before I shift to public comment, I see your hand is raised. Do you have a comment or a question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see it on this end. May have hit a button inadvertently, nothing here.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
lower it.
All right, so any member of the public is welcome to make a comment. All you have to do is raise your hand. Okay, seeing none at this time. Madam Clerk, I think you already recognize that the roll will start with Ward 4.
Counselor from Ward 4, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks.
Could I just interrupt for just a second, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, Dale or Dennis, could you call Elaine? She keeps getting kicked out of the system and she's trying to log in. Either that, if you could call her, or have Matt or David Gudis contact her. She's in her office and she's trying to join. She keeps getting kicked out. Thank you.
Dave's online, but I'll verify with him and have him contact her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, consent agenda?
Yes, the consent agenda consists of 4 items this evening. Item number 1, order authorizing the city administrator to take the necessary steps to sell the city-owned property at 17 White Avenue. Number 2, authorization to accept transfer of forfeiture funds. Item 3, appointments to the Maine Municipal Association's Legislative Policy Committee. And number 4, appointment of meeting schedule for the month of November.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, motion to accept.
Okay,
Councilor LaJoy made the motion.
yep. And did I hear a second in there?
I will second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if you could call the roll, please.
For Counselor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes,
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Madam Clerk's out again, I think, on voice. So agenda item number 5 is a public hearing on an application from Dana's Garage, 193 Crawley Road, for an automobile graveyard and junkyard permit. The requested action is to grant an automobile graveyard junkyard permit to Dana's Garage at 193 Crawley Road, subject to the condition that no more than 1,000 tires may be stored on the property.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray and seconded by Councilor Pettingill. So first, let me open the public hearing portion. And any questions or comments from the council? Okay, anything from the public? Okay, back to the council. Okay, if not, we'll call the roll, and I think it's Councilor, we'll start with Councilor Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
yes,
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. And agenda item number 6 is a public hearing.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor. I'm here. I'm on the telephone. Would you like me to take over? Sorry about
Yep.
that.
Yep, that would be
Okay, thank
great.
Great, thank you. Item number 6, public hearing on an application from Maine Heavy Equipment, 1445 Sabata Street, for an automobile graveyard junkyard permit. Requested action to grant an automobile graveyard junkyard permit to Maine Heavy Equipment, 1445 Sabata Street.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Ray, seconded by Counselor Pettingill. I'll open the public hearing. And this time I'll do it right and ask the public if they have any comments. Okay, seeing none, back to the council. Okay, and I'll close the public hearing, and if you could call the roll, please.
Sure. Counselor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7, please.
Item number 7, public hearing on an application from Grimmel's Industries, 50 River Road, for an automobile graveyard junkyard permit. Requested action to grant an automobile graveyard junkyard permit to Grimmel's Industries, 50 River Road, subject to the following conditions. 1, the hours of operation shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and 2, maintain screening from the main turnpike.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor, do we have a
Counselor.
motion on the floor, sir?
Oh,
We
no,
do
we
not.
don't. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Pettingill. With that, any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Counsel from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 8, please.
Item number 8, public hearing on an application from the Lewiston Public Works Department, 424 through 482 River Road, for an automobile graveyard junkyard permit. Requested action to grant an automobile graveyard junkyard permit to the Lewiston Public Works Department, 424 through 482 River Road.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Ray, and I'll open the public hearing. If any members of the public have comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it to the council. Any questions or comments? And seeing none, call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 9, please.
Item number 9, public hearing on an application from Re-Energy Lewiston LLC, 38 Alfred A. Plord Parkway, for an automobile graveyard junkyard permit. Requested action to grant an automobile graveyard junkyard permit to Re-Energy Lewiston LLC, 38 Alfred A. Plord Parkway, subject to the attached conditions.
So
Mr. Mayor.
moved. Oh,
Okay, so I have a motion made by Councilor Clement. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Ray. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Any members of the public have questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Councilor Clement?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a question for the clerk. I questioned earlier, the application sent to the council in their packet indicated there was an addendum, an additional condition on Re-Energy's application. And as of yet, I'm not certain how that has played out. We did not receive the addendum, and whether or not that is a differing condition from what is on the city's checklist for the normal rules and conditions for automobile graveyards, junkyards. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Counselor Clement. So we reached out to the applicant, and unfortunately, we've just been leaving phone messages back and forth and haven't been able to connect. But our understanding is that it was just basically going to be a repeat of the existing conditions that are attached in your book. These are assigned by the city and have been there basically the whole time this business has been there. So we believe they were just sort of attaching that to their application as well, just as verification that they recognize these as conditions and acknowledge them and are in agreement with them. We haven't been able to confirm that, but based upon sort of our phone messages back and forth for the last 24 hours, that's our understanding of what they were referencing in their application.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Would it affect anything if we were to table this for the next meeting, or can we somehow approve this subject to that understanding? I mean, I have a question, having dealt with junkyards a lot in the past. I just want to make certain that there's nothing unforeseen here.
Sure.
Yeah, I do.
I think, oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
I was going to say, I think it's fine to approve it if you'd like, Counselor, with the understanding that whatever they are able to submit, if it is acceptable to the city departments that need to review and sign off on those, particularly fire and code, if their condition is acceptable to them, if in case it is different than what is listed in your book, I think that would be fine. So the business isn't missing anything for the next 2 weeks, but if you'd be more comfortable tabling it for the next 2 weeks, that's perfectly fine too.
I have no problem either way. It would seem to me that we need to amend the motion on the floor then to include what you've just mentioned, so that that is the action of record.
Sure. So you could amend it to say additional conditions submitted by the applicant subject to approval by applicable city staff.
In that case, then I would submit that as an amendment, Mr. Mayor.
All right, very good. And the second would have to approve that.
Right. If you'd like to incorporate it as a friendly amendment, and that was Councilor Ray.
I was not the person who seconded. I believe it may have been another counselor.
Who gave the second on this? Councilor Jensen, are you okay with that amendment, friendly amendment?
No, it's Counselor Jelinas that made the second.
Oh, okay, thank you. Councilor Jelinas, you all set with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So typically I can control raising of hands here, and for some reason tonight with the other technical challenges we're having, I'm not able to do that. So Councilor Clement, if you could just drop your hand if you have no further, thank you. All right, with all that, is there any questions, any further questions or comments from the council? Okay, seeing none, to the public. Back to the council. And Councilor Ray?
To clarify, we are voting on the amended language, not on an amendment.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further questions or comments, call the roll, please.
Councilor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you. And we'll need Dave Hediger brought in, and agenda item number 10, please.
Item number 10, continuation of public hearing regarding proposed amendments to the land use code and map regarding the revised site plan review and design guidelines and the Design Lewiston project. Requested action to continue the public hearing of the proposed amendments to the land use code and map regarding the revised site plan review and design guidelines to the next regularly scheduled city council meeting.
Entertain a motion. Okay,
Second.
moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Pettengill. And Director Hediger, if you could take it away, please.
Yeah, sure. So after the planning board provided the recommendation for you folks, we went to the city attorney just to make sure that we weren't out in left field with some of the provisions we made, specifically with respect to modifications and variances. I received their comments last week. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, and they have some concerns. So we need to sit down with them and go over them to see if they're actually substantive changes or not. So in the next coming weeks here, upon you folks acting upon continuing this, we'll be better prepared for the 6th to let you know whether or not they are de minimis in nature and you folks can go ahead and act with your second reading, or if we actually need to do a new public hearing and potentially go back to the planning board for a recommendation. That's about it. It's important for us to make sure that we're consistent, especially with respect to variances. State statute dictates that, and we think we're on solid ground with that. And I've had a couple of conversations with the city attorney, and some tweaks are necessary, but we just want to make sure we're going in the right direction. So with that, we're looking for you folks to continue this to the October 6th meeting.
Thank you. And we appreciate you taking the cautious approach here. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, to the public. And back to the council. Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5? I'm sorry, it looks like Counselor Jensen is not with us. I'll circle back around. Ward 6?
Yes.
Thank you. Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Thank you. And we can list Counselor Jensen as abstaining for the moment because I don't see him in the session right now.
Councilor Jensen just contacted me. He is also experiencing some technical difficulties now. So apparently there's lots going on tonight with the issues. So having some phone issues as well. So, but he anticipates trying to get back in here shortly. So
okay. So Madam Clerk, can you circle back to him after the meeting, or do we just not note his vote on this specific item?
Sure, we'll check back and see if he's able to join us before we adjourn. So right now we have it at 6-0, so certainly the motion did pass unanimously at this point.
Right. Very good, thank you. Agenda item number 11, please.
Item number 11, public hearing and approval for amendments to the general assistance policy for annual authorization of eligibility amounts. Requested action that the maximum amounts allowed for general assistance and the maximum amounts allowed for food, housing, personal household supplies, utilities, heating, fuel, clothing, transportation, and funeral expenses in the general assistance policy for persons eligible to receive assistance in accordance with the standards of eligibility be adopted as presented in accordance with HUD guidelines and the current Thrifty Food Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that was moved by Councilor Khalid, I believe, and seconded by Councilor Ray. And before we continue on, Councilor Jensen, we just took a vote on item number 10, the continuation of the public hearing. Did you hear enough of that to give your vote on that?
I didn't hear any of it, but it sounds like we're just continuing it to the next meeting, so we didn't even really do anything. And I assume you voted yes.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, did you vote yes?
It was a 6-0 vote.
Oh, okay. Yeah, next time you can step in for me, but that's perfect. I'm okay with that.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, so we have Director Brackett for a presentation. And do you have video that you can turn on, Director Brackett?
Mayor, I'm actually going to jump in because she does not have video or audio. She's actually socially distanced in my office right now.
Okay.
While we try to, so she can answer any technical questions that the council may have. But I'll give a very brief overview. Each year, the amendments to the general assistance policy come forward before you right around this same time every year. This year, as noted in the memo that's contained in the packet, the amounts for utilities, heating, fuel, personal care, mileage, and funeral maxims have not changed. And the categories for food, housing, and overall maximums are recommended for increases. And staff's recommendation is to bring those forward. And those are all outlined with strikes through and the new amounts in the packet.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So obviously there were definitely some increases in food and other maximums, but not in others, such as household supplies, utilities, electric, things like that. And so I was just curious if that is consistent with previous years or if there's any anomalies this year.
Do you know if there's been increases in those categories in previous years, or is this consistent with previous years?
This is consistent with previous years.
So like Director Brackett's saying that it is consistent. What we're seeing here is consistent with previous years, and we haven't seen the increases in those other categories as you're referencing.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from council? To the public? And back to the council. Okay, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Sure. Council from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, agenda item number 12.
Item number 12 is reports and updates.
Yep. Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the school committee front, we took advantage of the lack of city council meeting last week and put a school committee meeting on the books. And last night at our school committee meeting, interim superintendent Langlis became permanent superintendent Langlis on a unanimous vote. From the school committee, we also heard an update on the special education audit. And I know it made some headlines back in earlier spring about how this audit was going to save the district lots and lots of money. However, the reality is a bit more complicated than that, sound bit. And so the school committee is asked to review the entire audit, which has to be done confidentially because it does speak about, different scenarios in the district, and we just don't want that to be public. We need to keep that confidential. So we're going to take a hard look at that and then hopefully start coming up with a plan to improve the system over there, including the curriculum, some clarification of the organizational goals, and ways that we can start to improve student outcomes at this point. So a lot more complicated than I think folks might have realized to start, and the headlines may have portrayed. So just in case you see something in the future about those costs not changing as much as we thought.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports or updates? Questions or comments for any of the reports and updates that we got? Okay, seeing none, agenda item number 13. That's why we've been fraught with struggles in technical, because we have 13 agenda items.
Item number 13, any other city business councilors or others may have relating to Lewiston city government.
Councilor Clement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suppose it would be appropriate at this time, based on the report from the councilor from Ward 3, that we as a body welcome new Superintendent Langlis to the fold. We look forward to working with him in an effort to provide the best service possible for all residents and students of the city of Lewiston. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And would there be a request in that statement maybe to ask our city administrator to put that in writing for the council?
I would think that would be a wonderful thing.
All right.
I'm happy to do that.
All right, and I see lots of heads nodding, so thank you very much, Councilor Clement. So we're almost at the point of adjourning, but I just want to apologize to the council and to the public for some of the technical difficulties that we experienced this evening. That falls on me, and we'll definitely try to figure this out for the next meeting and make sure we get that straightened out. I'm not sure if it's a Zoom issue or if it's an issue from us, but we'll definitely work on that. And I see Councilor Ray's raised hand, so go ahead, Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing that we were told at work recently to make sure our Zoom is up to date. So if folks just want to check and make sure they have the most recent version on their own devices might help a bit, or maybe not. We don't know.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point though, because mine hasn't updated since I've had it. All right, any other comments? Councilor Clement?
Mr. Mayor, I noticed a couple of times during the meeting, had a bullet flash across the screen that your internet is unstable. I don't believe that to be on my end. It must be something to do with the city.
Okay.
So leave this all on the internet. Don't take the blame. There's plenty of blame to go around for other things in the city. Don't take the blame for this. Blame it on the internet this time.
Okay. Consider it done. I won't ask for a motion on that. Councilor Pettengill?
One thing to consider too, right now going on is all our students are back to school. It could very well be a bandwidth issue. There's only so much bandwidth in the city, and there may not be much out there right now. The other thing too is that there's been a bunch of widespread power outages, and that could be affecting some of that as well. So it may not actually be anything that we've done. Just to put that out there.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I should just add, I appreciate that, Councilor, because I think you're right. I think we had multiple technical difficulties from multiple different sources here from what we were seeing here. So could be a combination of things, but we will certainly look into, I appreciate the mayor's comments. I was going to offer the same apology to everyone, but we'll certainly make sure systems are up to date, make sure we'll rule out anything on our end, and fingers crossed for no other technical difficulties as we move forward. So thank you all for the patience tonight.
Councilor Jelinas?
Just one quick question. Are we going to be planning to meet next Tuesday, the 22nd, at either 6 or 7 p.m.?
The plan would be a workshop at 6 p.m. for the 22nd at this point. If that changes, I'll certainly notify you all, but we do have at least one item, possibly two, for a workshop.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, I see no other questions or comments. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor Clement. Call the roll.
Councilor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Pass by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Mayor, looks like a new record by 2 minutes.
We'll try harder next time.
Have a good evening.
Thank you now.
Good all.